Hey y'all, welcome back to Chasing Dreams Homestead. I'm currently on the way to pick up the hogs that we dropped off at the processor about 3 weeks ago. Stay tuned and I will let you know what we got back and how many pounds of product we brought home from the 508 pounds of live weight of hogs that we dropped off at the processor. So yeah, we tried to lay out our meat haul so we could take an inventory. And apparently it's more meat than the table could handle. Woo!
The only table that's
gracious. So we definitely had a mishap trying to lay all this out to just talk about it. Thankfully, we got this church pew here that we could stack it on that we use for a bench for our large family, and the kids are taking it all to the freezer right now. Y'all, that was a catastrophe, I tell you what. But silver lining, we needed to firm up that table anyhow and shore it up before we had company over to eat on that table. And in fact, we got company coming tomorrow, so I've got my work cut out for me after this video. But this is the biggest thing that I want to impress upon you. If you're a consumer and someone who is new to purchasing livestock that have been taken to a processor, a lot of folks will tell you to expect 55-60% back on the animal that they take to the processor. But what they don't clarify for you is they're talking 55 to 60% back of the hanging weight. That hanging weight is after the animal has already been dispatched, the animal has been gutted and skinned, so you literally just have the carcass. That's when they're giving you those high percentage amounts to expect back. And I feel like that's unfair to folks that aren't educated in what to expect from this kind of situation. Mama Dreams and I ran into this early on before we started growing our own animals for consumption. When we would purchase one and have it dropped off at a processor, we'd get big ideas that we're going to get so much meat back, and then when we get the meat it would be a lot less than we were expecting because of our calculations based on the person we bought it from telling us, hey, I'm taking this 300-pound hog for you, you should expect about 60% back. So I'm thinking 60% of 300 pounds. What they weren't clarifying for me was that is 60% of the hanging weight once it's already been gutted, skinned, and processed and drained of bodily fluids. So those are things to really keep in mind. So what I try to do is I try to tell people a realistic expectation on what to expect back on an animal from the live weight. Because to me, that's just kind of common sense. That's where most people's minds are going to go is, okay, hey, I'm buying this 300-pound hog from this person. How much of that am I going to get back? Most people aren't going to think, how much hanging weight am I going to get back? Because a lot of people don't do this kind of thing every day. So I always try to give a live weight. So let's break down what we got back from our 508 pounds of hogs that we dropped off. Now, without the lard, we got 221 pounds of meat back. So that's about 43.5% of the live weight that we dropped off, 508 pounds. Now, I will say that it probably would have been slightly heavier, but we had a lot of that. Almost 90 pounds of that meat was cured and smoked. So in the smoking process, obviously that's going to dry out a lot of the juices that would stay in the meat. But we really like the process that processor, Caleb at Lindell's, does. And we like the smoking that he does. And I also like the seasoning he uses. He doesn't use nitrates or nitrites. And that's important to me because I've got a family history of heart conditions and high cholesterol and all those things. So I appreciate the seasoning pack he uses as well. He uses basic, simple ingredients in it. He doesn't put anything in it that I can't pronounce, and that means a lot to me. If I was doing it at home, which we can do, and we've done several times, I would only use ingredients that we can pronounce. You know what I mean? So anyhow, meat-wise, we got about 43.5% back of our total live weight. But for us, we always get the lard back too, and that lard brought to the table another 70 some odd pounds. I think it was 73 pounds. And so out of that lard, if you combine the lard and the meat, we got back 294 pounds total product back. And so that's 57.87% is what we got back from our live weight. So those are things that you need to consider when you are taking an animal to the processor. Are you going to get back the lard? Because that's a byproduct. Even if you can't personally use 70 some odd pounds of lard in a year, you can render that down, and now you've got a product that you can barter or sell the lard that's been rendered. And also, if you've got friends that hunt like we do, and we hunt as well, that lard comes in handy when you want to grind it into your venison so that it's not so dry. So these are things to consider. Always ask that processor to give you back your lard. All in all, we got 31 packages of sausage, 31 packages of bacon, 4 smoked ham hocks, 4 smoked jowl bacons, 31 packs of pork chops, 35 ham steaks. This is our first time getting ham steaks from him. I grew up out in the country. I love ham steaks, so I'm excited for it, and I'm also curious to see how Mama Dreams thinks about it once she actually tries a ham steak. She's not really had ham steak, so we'll see what she thinks. 4 packs of spare ribs and 13 packs of pork roast. Mama Dreams, I didn't write it down in all the chaos when the table broke. Do you remember how many packs of pork chops?
I told you it.
I know you told me it, but I didn't write it down.
17. It was an odd number.
Was it 17?
Yeah, it wasn't.
She thinks it was 17 packs of pork chops. Now for us,
17.
those pork chops are 3-pound packs. Yeah. No, it's 14. I did write it down.
There you go. That's an even number too.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. I'm distracted by the chaos of the table breaking. But those are 3-pound packs, so those are 14 meals for our family. We got him to break everything down other than obviously the sausage and the bacon into 3-pound packs. That way it'll feed our family an entire meal. All in all, I'm pretty daggum happy with what we got back out of the 2 hogs. I would have really liked to have grown that little sow out bigger, but Mama Dreams was tired of feeding her, so we went ahead and took her on up there. Now, one other thing that I would consider is the input, the cost of feeding these hogs out. It is not more economical, not at all. I could go catch, I don't know, the local grocery stores, pork sell 99 cents a pound, and get more meat. But this is a scenario where you get back out what you put in. So we know we fed those hogs good quality feed, so their meat is more nutrient dense, their meat is healthier for us, so we're happy with paying what we paid to feed them out and get the processing. So between the processing cost, which was $289, and a lot of that was from the smoking, and he only charges 50 cents a pound to smoke the cuts of meat, so I think that's really fair. But $289, and then all of our feed that went into them, we're sitting at about $4.31 a pound on the pork that we got back. Now, if you look at any of the high-end cuts of bacon and whatnot right now, you're anywhere from $8 to $10 to $11 a pound. So I feel pretty confident with that because we got 30 some odd pounds of bacon. Same with sausage and all those things. Obviously you can get pork chops and all those much cheaper at times, but for us, this worked out to be something that we're happy with. We're going to enjoy the meat, and we're going to enjoy knowing where the meat came from because we grew it and what that pig had to eat throughout its life. We know it didn't have a bunch of genetically modified things or a bunch of filler or a bunch of chemicals or a bunch of just random junk tossed to it. We really heavily fed those pigs produce that we were getting from our friends at a local produce farm, and then also our custom hog feed blend. So it's very, very good meat. Now, once we get some meat thawed out, we'll also post some pictures of the meat and show you guys how the meat looks. It's a lot deeper red than what you'll get in the store. It's not washed out. It's not pink. It's not white. This is deep red. A true heritage hog ought to give you a deep red meat with well marbleized meat. And that's something that we always look for, especially with the Mangalista being in the mix on this in the Berkshire. We know there's going to be marbling in the meat, so it's going to be succulent. It's going to be very juicy. And Mama Dreams has become a pork snob, y'all. She will not eat store-bought pork anymore. And honestly, we haven't had to buy pork in years, but the last time she even had a commercial bred hog that we had processed, because we bought one so very cheap during the shutdown, the thing that we're not supposed to talk about. We bought 2 very, very cheap that came from Iowa because they were being euthanized, and the farms were just like, we'll sell truckloads to the local auction. So we bought 2 for $160 each. And that was definitely a scenario where we got what we paid for. They were not that great. It was food, but it was dry. It wasn't very flavorful like our homegrown meat. So we learned our lesson on that, and we'll just go ahead and take the time and invest the money and grow them out ourselves. But we hope you enjoyed the pork haul video, and say a little prayer for the table that I can get it repaired before tomorrow. Anyhow, y'all, as always, till next time, keep dreaming.